Today, we are diving in how to build a sales compensation plan. So understanding a compelling sales compensation plan can really drive and excite sales. And it can even help expand an inside sales team. Without a good compensation plan, companies experience high turnover, lack of employee engagement, and low performance. So how do you set up a compensation plan that solves these issues? Well, you're in luck because we're going to dive into that right now. Compensation plans for sales teams. I love this stuff. These are things that I really enjoy. There could be semester-long courses taught on this, but it can actually be a pretty simple process as we dive into the details. So let's jump in by understanding what motivates a good sales team. Let's talk about the different types of sales plans that exist. And finally, we'll dive into the factors that determine a good sales compensation plan and ultimately how to use and deploy it. So if you're ready, let's dive in, let's go. So what motivates a sales team, a sales organization? Usually the first answer that comes out of everybody's mouth is money, right? If somebody got into sales, they usually got into it because they see money. Sales isn't something that a lot of people go to college for, but they realize it's something they enjoy because they like people, but ultimately they see it as an opportunity to reach their financial goals. And most salespeople, when they get into it, they realize the harder they work, the greater potential they have to make more money. They're usually individuals that know their worth and realize that their worth can be compensated just by them developing and learning and utilizing skill sets, and plus putting in the time and energy to receive those rewards. A lot of time these individuals are highly competitive. They love competition. They love comparing themselves to themselves, seeing when they improve, but also looking across the way and saying, I can do better than that individual. They also love an environment that fosters fun, energy. It's an atmosphere that creates competition and rewards for success. Ultimately, they enter the sales world because they believe that the compensation, commission, the opportunity to make money is going to set them apart and help their family and put them in a place where they can thrive. So what are the different types of sales compensations out there? We covered this in a previous episode, but I think it's important to review because sales compensation can really be tricky. So I think there's three different areas for sales compensation. When it comes to an inside sales team, and when it comes to sales organizations, we have an educational company where we offer high-ticket coaching sales, and compensation is key, right? To see performance, to see the right type of environment. So let's talk about those three different areas. The first one is commission only. Now, when I say commission only, that is something where if an individual gets a sale, they get paid. If they don't get a sale, traditionally in the past, it's been thought of as they don't get paid. However, I really want to caution you as a business owner or a manager that that is something that you've really got to look into. You got to check with regulatory laws, federal, state. I know for us, if somebody does not get a sale in a week, we still compensate them. There's usually a minimum base that they get if they don't get sales. If you don't do that, you could be in trouble because most agencies aren't going to allow you to have somebody work for you for a period of time and not get paid. Now, if they're 1099 contractors, that's a different story. But if it's an employee in your office, attending your management meetings, your trainings, and you are not paying them for working in a week, even if they don't get sales, I'd caution you to make sure that you're doing it the right way. But a commission only, ultimately, that whole goal is there's a higher upside by them getting commission. Second is a base plus commission. Now that base has to be something that is to the point where it doesn't cover all the sales rep's needs, but it's something that gives a little peace of mind. But knowing that they get sales on top of that is going to really drive them to pursue excellence, right? So one of the keys is that commission might not be as high as a commission only, but enough to motivate them and excite them to get sales on a regular basis. So there's that base plus commission on top of that. It's still driving them for the outcome you desire within your organization. Then there's the guaranteed minimum. This is one that I kind of like if it's done with the right individual. So there was an individual who worked for our organization. He has been working with us for a long time. He's a family man. He does a great job, super loyal, and really thrives. You know, we came to him and said, listen, we want to give you a guaranteed minimum. You don't have to worry about making ends meet, right? Every week out of 4 weeks, you're guaranteed this much money. And if you do more than that with sales that you get, then it's all yours. And we will analyze that every 4 weeks. So one 4-week period, you might crush it. Another one, it might be a struggle. But knowing that you have a minimum and then you have upside there, he has thrived under that. There's been probably 1% of the time we've ever had a pay out the guaranteed minimum. Because he's the right individual, he's always exceeded that minimum and thrived and help our organization grow. So what factors go into compensation? One of the most important things before you even dive into this, you've got to think that you want to align sales compensation with your business objectives. If your objective is to get more revenue, to get more sales, then that's what you've got to do, right? You've got to align compensation with that. A good example of this, we had teams that did educational sales, and we want to figure out how do we compensate somebody for being a team leader, right? We wanted to tie it to sales so they were motivated to get their team to thrive. We thought maybe we'll pay them an override, 1 to 3% based on their team. We'll take out their personal volume and compensate them depending on how their team does. And we thought, you know what? Let's pay them on the overall volume minus their personal volume of their team based on a scale of 1 to 3% override. Now, the challenge there is salespeople are smart. They figure out loopholes, ways around it. What we saw happening is sometimes our sales representatives, they would give the best leads to themselves or to a handful of people on their team, and other people on the team would really struggle. They wouldn't get any sales or see very few sales, while 3 or 4 people on the team would just have astronomical sales, and that wasn't fostering the type of environment we wanted. So we soon changed that to where it was that 1 to 3% override based on a per man average, right? So you take out the team leader's personal volume, however many members are on that team, you divide them into the whole volume, and you would get an override. So that fostered more of an environment where the lowest person on the rung still had to contribute. And if there was people who didn't get any sales, that would maybe notch them down a little bit. So it really created that environment where people would thrive because everyone on the team had to do well for the team leader to receive his bonus. So aligning them with what made sense for us, our culture, was an important aspect of doing it the right way and creating the right compensation plan for our sales reps. So how do you build and deploy a sales compensation plan? So first off, you have to understand the metrics, right? What metrics do you as an organization need or want to see to really thrive? What is that breaking point? If this sales team hits this or the company hits this, what's that look like for your organization? If you hit above that, that's really where the flywheel begins to spin, right? Great things start to happen. So understanding metrics is an important part of that, specifically the company metrics that lead to massive success in your organization. And build the sales plans around that. You know, for example, in our organization, we saw something that really needed to be solved, right? We have the ability to offer a finance program to some of our educational students, but we started to see that more of the programs were being sold a finance program, right? They were being offered little cash down and then we'd finance the rest of it. And us as an organization, we needed more cash. So we started compensating more towards cash deals versus finance deals. And guess what happened? We started to see more cash deals come into our organization. So that was an example of aligning the compensation plan with what we needed as an organization. The second thing you need is you need to have a progression plan in place. If sales reps can see that they can progress and improve, like I said, with our structure in our sales organization in a previous video, we talked about how we have prospectors, directors, team leaders, assistant team leaders. If they can see a progression plan, including that as part of the compensation and how to compensate them, really delivers an environment where people can thrive. And finally, here's the last thing that I like to do. When I'm creating a sales compensation plan and I understand what the metrics are, I understand at what point of what weekly volume, monthly volume, quarterly volume is going to help our business thrive so I can reward them based on hitting those numbers, I want to get sales individuals' feedback, right? They're the ones who are going to be in the trenches doing it. So one of the things I like to do is sit down with them, some of my main leaders, my main sales influencers, sit down and get their feedback on a sales compensation plan. If you do that, I promise you, you're going to have more buy-in, you're going to see greater success. Now, those are things that I've seen that have worked really well in my organization, but I'd love to hear what you've done to build and deploy sales compensation plans. Now, as always, I've got a free gift for you. Just click on the link below, aaronsSalesTraining.com. It's my 12-part sales and persuasion course. It's awesome. It's usually about $100 per course, and there's 12 courses that make that up. But it's yours here for free. Just click on the link below and have access to it. Once again, thanks for visiting. Thanks for watching the video. Have a great day.